Well, thank you everyone for being here this morning. We really appreciate you taking the time. My name is Sofia Alvarez. I'm with the Daniel K. Inouye National Center for the Preservation of Democracy at the Japanese American National Museum. It is a mouthful, but I'm really proud to be here with my colleague Jim Herr. He's the director of the center. Um,
Hello,
and
everyone.
oh, sorry.
Just saying hello.
And I'd like to introduce Nia Mosby, who is a representative of the Civic Season Committee. Nia, take it away.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining the call today. So love to talk a little bit with you about Civic Season, what it's all about, and really wanted this call to be a place for, as I kind of dive into Civic Season, and a lot of it being a big kind of way to collaborate with one another. Hoping that this call will act as a way for you all to collaborate with another, hopefully on this nationwide movement, but in any other projects that you have moving forward, letting this be kind of the starting place for that. So I'm going to dive into a couple of just quick slides, tell you a little bit about Civic Season, what it's all about, if this is your first time learning about it. So Civic Season is a flagship summer program for Made by Us. So Made by Us is a coalition of history museums and historic sites around the country. So JANM is a part of that. And what we are really looking to do is bring in better connections between history museums, historic sites, civic orgs, and young people. Specifically, we focus on an 18 to 30-year-old audience for a number of different reasons. One of the big reasons being as we look to America's 250th that is coming up in 2026, these are the next inheritors of our country. They are the big voting group. There'll be about 75 million of them who will be able to eligible to be voters at that point. So want to make sure that we're engaging with them, allowing them to kind of use these sites as a way to get firsthand accounts of new knowledge, learning more that they maybe didn't get into the classroom. So we're really trying to make those kind of connections for them to see how history of civics is relevant to their everyday world. So Civic Season, which is the time between Juneteenth and July 4th, is really supercharging all of that we're trying to do as an organization into a 2-week period. So we've anchored it with America's newest federal holiday, of course, Juneteenth, with America's oldest, July 4th. And so during this time, we have our nationwide network of museums. We also have cultural institutions, influencers, amplifiers. You can be a library, you can be a government agency. All of these groups are coming together to celebrate Civic Season, and that is through the use of submitting programs to our Civic Season site, which I'll talk a little bit about, amplifying the program through social media, as well as just bringing this program into your local communities. And what's so great about Civic Season is that it can be something that is different from each org, from city to city and from neighborhood to neighborhood. So how you choose to celebrate, how you choose to show up in that moment, it's really up to your organization, which is something super exciting to know. So with Made by Us and specifically Civic Season, and all the work that we do, we really try to work with a number of different collaborators in our kind of ecosystem, specifically young collaborators. So we have a group of design fellows who are in that 18 to 30-year-old range that we work with a new group every year, and they help us co-collaborate and create the Civic Season program for that year. So we have our awesome group here of design fellows who help make Civic Season happen. They come from various backgrounds. There are various points in their life, whether as students or professional capacity. So it's really cool to see their input for how they want this program to be built. We have our Civic Season advisors, one of which is Jim, and they really act as liaisons for all of the work that we're doing to make sure we're meeting organizations' needs as you all do this work to bring in this audience. One thing I will say though, when it comes to Civic Season, anyone can participate. Like I said, Made by Us, we focus on this 18, 30-year-old audience, but anyone is able to participate in Civic Season. And then, of course, we have our Made by Us board of directors, so our 10 founding partners, as well as our 400, hopefully 500 organizations who participate in this program every year. So each year for Civic Season, we look to have kind of an overarching theme that we're doing, just to better connect the overall messaging and what's happening across the country. And so this year it is connecting our stories. So last year for civic season, we asked people to really explore their individual stories to understand where they kind of fit in the civic narrative. And this year it's going to look a lot more at kind of connecting all those various stories together as we continue to build to this 250th anniversary that is coming up in a couple of years. So for civic season, we have a couple core program features that we do every year, and we either kind of amp them up year to year or do something completely new. So we have our live directory event. So I talked a little bit about that. This is the best way for anybody who is participating in civic season to kind of get started, get engaged. So on our website, we have about 1,200 nonpartisan activities that are in-person event, virtual events, programs, resources that anyone can do during that civic season period. And so these are the resources that you are providing to our civic season site. They just, the kind of criteria for them is that they land between Juneteenth and July 4th, like I said, or it's something that's evergreen that anyone can access at any point throughout the year. This is a great place of we'll be updating this site this year. What's so great about our website is that we kind of have these different paths for people to figure out where they want to get started, one of which is our Civic Superpower quiz. So people are able to figure out their nurturer, an amplifier, a defender, a connector, once they find out what their civic superpower is and kind of what their kind of guide from history is from it. They can use that to guide their way through a lot of the different programming that we offer on the website. Like I said, we have over 1,200 on the website. We're looking to get about 2,000 this year. So a lot for people to choose from. And so we just want to make it as easy as possible for them to do so. For the third year this year, we'll be kicking off civic season the weekend before Juneteenth. So this year it'll be on June 15th. So around the country, we'll have some celebrations that are happening in person. And I could talk a bit about what that looks like. But we have had over the past year, this has grown tremendously. We've had about 40 kickoff events happen around the country. Last year, we're looking to have around 70 plus, hopefully 100 happening this year. So a lot of fun ways so we can say around the country on this day or during this weekend, we're all kicking off civic season together. We have our civic season toolkit, which I'll make sure to drop in the chat in a bit. And so this has everything you need in order to amplify civic season on social media, in your press, in newsletters. We give you stickers, we give you graphics, we give you templates, give you everything you need to amplify civic season. We make it nice and easy and quick for you to do. For 2024, we'll be having the 2024 edition of our Civic Season Guidebook. So we did a 2023 edition, and it was guided by that Civic Superpower quiz I talked about a second ago. This year, as we're looking to do that more kind of connecting our stories, the 2024 edition will look to have each region of the United States featured in the guidebook. So I'll be having our fellows completely come up with the content for that. They are representing their respective regions and creating some really fun activities to get people like really excited about civics in their community, about history in their community. And by doing so, just learning something new. So we hope with this guidebook, you'll learn a lot about these various regions, but you don't have to just learn about the region you're from. You'll be able to explore and find something new and different. And then we'll have a couple of different how-to guides for civic season this year as well. So if you're looking to host, say, an in-person event, we'll have some on-site guides for you to use as well. If you're looking to, say, kind of understand how you can best navigate the election season and using civic season as a way to have those discussions, we'll have some guides for that as well. So just a couple of different ways to better leverage your resources and programming that you have available. So like I said, we'll have an updated version of our civic season website. Our submission form is actually live now, so you are able to submit any programming to the civic season website. That submission form will be open through May 4th. But as I'm talking to you today, one thing I will say is that as I'm talking about new programs and resources that you can offer to the civic season website, I ask that you don't have to reinvent the wheel if you do not need to. So if you already have programming that's happening between Juneteenth and July 4th, awesome. feel free to submit it to the Civic Season website. It's a great addition and we're happy to accept it. If you want to do something new, that's awesome. That submission process is open through May 4th. It's a really easy form, less than 10 minutes to get your program submitted on the site. You can do as many programs or resources as you want. We don't give a limit to that. We do have our fellows approve all of our programming that goes live on the website. Like I said, just to make sure that we're hitting the mark with young people, as that is our target audience. And then what I wanted to share really quickly is just all the different ways that you can host a Civic Season program during our kickoff weekend if this is of interest to you. Mind you, you can host any of these programs at any point during Civic Season, but they're great options for that kickoff weekend. The first is that for the second year, we'll be hosting a Slice of History. And so we're doing this in partnership with an organization called Pizza to the Polls. So they are a nonpartisan organization that sends pizza to polling sites during election season. And so we're partnering with them to host this kind of fun, nostalgic meetup where people are able to come into your organizations and they can do a number of things, whether they're coming to learn something new about history or civics that they didn't know before. They can do this in the form of a trivia night, in the form of a walk on a trail, in the form of what else have we seen happen, of a 2000s like themed nostalgic evening. So kind of whatever you think of in regards to how you want people to come and learn something new about history and civics. And then we provide you free pizza for your event. So a great and easy way to kind of quickly plug in the Civic Season. You can add it on to any program that you're already doing. So we provide the pizza, we provide all the logistics for you. All you do is let us know where you want it to be delivered and how many people, and we'll get it to you. So great way to host a Civic Season program if it's your first time and you want to host something, but kind of need a little bit of help with that process. We also provide a fun template for you, so we give you all the details for that. Next is that we template we have some templates from past Civic Season events. So these are really successful programs that have happened in the past 2 years of Civic Season. And so these can include an escape room, they can include some in-gallery voting. They aren't all in-person events. There are also resources too. There's a lot of different templates that you can use as a way to capacity build your Civic Season program and have a good foundation and blueprint. You don't have to start from scratch. So we have those as well. And like I said, of course, we want you to be able to amplify your Civic Season programming too, your programming as well. So if you're already, for example, hosting a Juneteenth program during that weekend, awesome. We don't want to overshadow that as well. We want to use this as an opportunity to uplift it. So you can make sure to submit that as a Civic Season program as well. So I will pause for a moment and answer any questions that you all may have about Civic Season in general. And then we can kind of jump into things from there.
If you don't mind, I wanted to just jump in and talk a little bit about why we're doing it. So I don't even remember how I was first connected to you guys, probably through JANM being an affiliate of the Smithsonian. And when I read about what this program was, I just was so excited. I thought it was such a brilliant idea to have that period between Juneteenth and July 4th as a time when we can really, when cultural institutions, museums, other civic organizations can talk about civics and get people excited about how they can participate, how they can learn more about their local government or their state government or federal government. And so we're kind of really excited and want to be able to share this work with other organizations. Last year was our first year, and so we kind of dipped our toe in the water and we did like an online component where we had a civics quiz, and then we had a public program where we commissioned a dance performance, and then had people talk about civics as well. And then this year we're doing a program where there's this theme about sort of first person storytelling and telling your American story. So we're working with an artist who's going to help a cohort of people develop their story and how to tell it, and then give the opportunity to have them share that story here at the museum in our democracy forum. while we also activate our plaza to have music and other types of things that people can get engaged with, but also have like a resource fair for community organizations. Jody, when you were writing that, I was thinking, this might be a great opportunity for your office to come and tell people about how they can become volunteers and at the polls, and maybe some other things as well. And kind of build momentum over the next couple of years as we reach towards 2026. My big dream for this is we can get a whole bunch of people involved, is to actually do sort of like a great LA civic scavenger hunt, where we send people out into the community to go to different places, cultural institutions, civic institutions, do arts engagements projects, learn about their city or local government, and in celebration of 2026. So that's just sort of our interest. So kind of maybe use that as a jumping off point for some other ideas.
We would love that opportunity. Both for us, I represent both LA County Register Recorder, County Clerk, so we do the elections work actually for LA County, and also I represent the Asian American Employees Association for the county as well. So this is an area that we've been wanting to collaborate with other organizations to try to do these kind of work, outreach and so forth. So it is important civic engagement for our community. So, but I
Awesome.
gave you some resources in the chat, so you guys can look into it to see how you can plug in as well.
Okay.
Awesome. That's great. Already making connections. So I wanted to kind of jump into things, and I can make sure to kind of make sure these prompts were relevant to y'all. But first, I would love to hear a little bit about what's on your radar heading into the summer, not just in regards to your interest in being a part of civic season, but just in general. What are the things that are at the forefront of your organization's minds as you're doing your work? So is it the Olympics for some organizations? Is it the upcoming elections? Is it your big summer programming? Just would love to hear what you have coming up in the next couple of months. Yeah, feel free to jump
If
in,
I
Jody.
may, sorry.
No, you're
I don't
good.
want to hog up the space here, but one of the things actually we would love a collaboration with JANM, right, with you all, is we want to create a family day where we can kind of be led by a docent, bring in the other employee associations of LA County. We have about 10 of them, from different groups. There's African American employees, there's Hispanic managers, and different kind of groups. But we would love to collaborate with them and maybe invite them on a tour, of the Little Tokyo area, as well as do a visit with the museum, as well as with the with the uh, with the Chinese American Museum, right, the CAM. I think that would be a great opportunity to, again, kind of foster that collaboration between the different, groups, right? But also, if you have the county employees there, and they all range from managers to line level staff and so forth, if we do something like that, it will actually help them kind of see, the need that's there for our group, right? So for the Asian Americans. So we would love that kind of opportunity and collaboration with you guys.
Yeah. Where are your offices, Jody?
Um,
City Hall
so, well,
or County
I work,
Hall Administration?
yeah, so the Lycea is actually a nonprofit, right? We don't have an office, we're all volunteers. We
Mhm.
we all eat individually. There's 40 county departments, right? And all we each like work in different county departments. So some people are assessors, some people are, the board of supervisors, and so forth. But um, for us, RCC, we're in Norwalk. So
Okay.
Well, we're I work with the Los Angeles Conservancy. We're a historic preservation organization, so we do a lot of events year round, which is really meant to sort of do exactly what you were talking about, Jim. It's not exactly a scavenger hunt per se, but it's essentially doing lots of tours of historic neighborhoods, focusing on advocacy issues that are relevant to keeping cultural and historically significant places intact across the county. And summer is busy for us. We have a lot of different programs going on year round, but in summertime, especially, we do a lot of work with student groups. We have a program called the Heritage Project, which works with high schoolers to really explore personal stories of heritage as well as collective ones around LA County. We also do a big film series called Last Remaining Seats, which focuses on historic theaters, in particularly on Broadway, but really across the city. And I'd say a big initiative that we'll be launching in the fall is one that looks at the intersection of historic preservation and the housing crisis here in Los Angeles, and the ways that historic preservation works to protect affordable housing and to keep affordable housing in place. So that's a big initiative that I'm going to be stemming in 2025 in particular, but we're really looking to launch that starting in fall. I mean, it's launch is sort of a misnomer, since we've been really doing work around this issue and around policy at the city and county level for a long time. But I guess a big public facing sort of lift this visibility around the initiative will happen in the fall.
Okay. Well, if there's anything we can do to help in that, please let us know. And then, do you do like specific programming, like, you know, when there's holidays or big events on the calendar, do you have programs that kind of lean into those?
Yes and no. I mean, we have year-round walking tours, which happen every weekend, and sometimes we'll theme those to be sort of more holiday specific. So, you know, winter highlights of downtown, or, you know, kind of light touches around the edges for some of those evergreen programs. But we do, especially with student programs, try to focus on, you know, whatever month is recognizing particular groups or movements in history. So I mean, for March, we do a women's history tour that's pretty popular. Again, we offer it year round, especially for student groups, but, you know, we'll really kind of lean into that and sort of do a lot more PR around the fact that our tours really lend themselves to sharing these different stories that have to do with unique sort of groups throughout LA.
It almost makes me think that there could be an opportunity for programming here in Little Tokyo. There are several historic spaces in the block alone that could be a wonderful opportunity to bring guests in, have them learn more about the community, and kind of really help them feel integrated into the LA community, because sometimes it's hard to get down here, you know, but now with public transit, we have the metro station here. I think that could be an interesting, you know, door to check out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, before my time, I've been at the Conservancy for about 7 years now. We did actually do a regular walking tour of Little Tokyo. So it was sort of derailed for a lot of good reasons, but it's something I've had several conversations with, I think, people who now unfortunately aren't at JANM about revising that. I think at one point there was a real push from JANM to look at expanding the concept of the museum and making that more of a curated experience that took into account really the historic fabric of Little Tokyo itself. And that was a really exciting prospect that COVID then killed. But I think there's lots of ways that we could be working with JANM. I know even in a lighter touch, recently we were involved with Griffith Park's 125th celebration in 2021. And a lot of the programming and some of the dust that was kicked up around that programming, I think, led to Travel Town's recognition of the plaque that was recently put there to recognize the role that what's now no longer there, but essentially an army barracks played, or an army camp, in the deportment of Japanese Americans, as well as some German and Italian Americans during World War II. And I know JANM was involved in the research on that. So there's been lots of, I think, like almost partnerships that have happened. But if we could support in some of your efforts around this particular issue or others, I think there's a lot of great opportunity.
And I think with the new regional rail connector, it gives maybe an opportunity, people can start here and then just take Metro one stop and they're right on Broadway.
Yeah, exactly. I think we're also right now, after years of not being able to, following COVID, as of last week, it's looking really likely that we'll be doing tours of City Hall again for the first time. We used to be the only organization, other than the tours you could schedule through City Hall, to take people inside during the summer specifically. So it does actually look like that's happening this summer too, for the first time. So just thinking about proximity as well, and how easy it would be to get to you guys.
Yeah. Maybe something we're planning our event for Saturday, June 29th. And so maybe we can talk offline on maybe helping promote that, or vice versa, or being part of that in some way that day.
Great. I mean, our film series, Last Remaining Seats, runs every Saturday in June up until the 15th. And, we see upwards of 5,000 to 9,000 people at that series. So if there's ways we can help promote, ahead of time at that series too, we'd be happy to.
Awesome.
That sounds great.
Wonderful.
And
Jen,
didn't mean to disrail you.
Oh, no, this is for you all to talk. I am just here as you need me. Jim, do you want to talk more about what you all have planned going on for Civic season this year?
Yeah, so we for this year, we really want to focus on that idea of first-person storytelling. And so one of our former Democracy Fellows, Jason Chu, who's a rapper, artist, activist, he is going to work with a multi-generational cohort of people to kind of help them figure out what their American story is. Is it, their immigration story, or the first time they voted, or when they became a citizen, or any number of things like that. And then they'll have a chance to present their work. I don't know if it's not really spoken word, but it is oral. And so they'll be working not only on the written piece and how to develop a story, but also how to tell it. And we'll be recording that. But obviously, we'd love people to come see the live version of that and try and give them opportunities to workshop it at various places beforehand, so that on that day they're kind of ready. That'll probably take place inside our Democracy Forum, and then right outside on the Democracy Plaza, we'll activate that day with some public programming, and again, opportunities to bring community organizations in for tabling, their own promotions, and kind of tie it all to, civic life here in Los Angeles. And so that's what we're hoping to do today, as well as to try and have bring in more partners and let people know about this, so that we can keep building the momentum for it. But Civic, Nia and her team are amazing, because one of the things that is so great about working with them is there's so much that, this is a national program. So there are people all over the country that are doing this. And it's great to hear, like, just listening to some of the calls, you hear these ideas of like, oh, like that, maybe that's something we could do, or we could do it this way here. And there's just like, dig into the website. I highly recommend it. And there's so many resources there for like promotion and marketing that tie to like sort of central themes for this. And as we hopefully grow bigger and have more organizations involved, building that sort of brand recognition for Civic Season, and that it is, going to be at so many different organizations, I think will be important. But that hard work is already done for us, because they do such a great job at Civic Season and Made by Us.
Thanks, Jen. Appreciate
Yeah.
that. I dropped the website into the chat if you haven't explored it before. I also dropped in our toolkit, which just went live beginning of, are we in April? Yes,
Mm.
beginning of April. Great resource that you can use as well. Jody, did you have a question?
Actually, not a question. So with LaSea, I am the programs and events person, and also the PIO, or was. Um, but I've often said that it's really too bad that, there's so many community events going on, that oftentimes it's not centralized, right? Especially like we've got like even just the Lunar New Year event, right? It's like I have to go to every single website to look for information. And I try to stay on top of it because there's so much. And when the county, like especially my department, is like, okay, what are all the community events that are out there? And sometimes I find out like at the very, very last minute. It's like, oh, it just happened like last night, and so it's always good to be able to have that connection with people to to know how to promote to our membership as well, right? And as well, to the other employee associations, because we're LA County employees that live in LA County and work in LA County and stuff. And so it'd be great if you guys can send me information. I'll drop my email address, here on like flyers or things like that that I can put on our website, and also try to push out like this event. It's wonderful. I mean, I love that you're doing this kind of work, but the communication isn't getting across, so it's important that we do this kind of collaborative work.
Yeah, I'm happy to send you all the information that we have. We have a couple of different employee and constituent guides as well that you can use to share out to your various networks and how they can get their people involved with civic season. So yeah, happy to provide any information that you need for that. Yeah, awesome. So thinking a little bit, like we've kind of already started this, but wanted to take some time to talk through what do you see as opportunities possibly for civic season, or what are kind of the collaborations that you're interested in for civic season? So we've already kind of dived into this, but I just want to like open up the floodgates to allow you all to fully have that conversation right now. So yeah, anyone feel free to jump in.
Sarah, I know I've been to so many of the programs that the Conservancy does, but um, in thinking about it, and I've never thought about this, it's always sort of been sort of like in the downtown area, historic core, Broadway, the theaters. Do you work outside of that area? Do you work across Los Angeles?
We do. We're a countywide organization, so we certainly do work outside the downtown area, although because our offices are downtown and because when the Conservancy was founded, there was so much need for preservation advocacy downtown specifically, it's sort of by default become our stomping grounds, for lack of a better word. And our ongoing weekly walking tours are mostly centered around downtown and sort of adjacent neighborhoods like Angelino Heights. Or like I mentioned, Little Tokyo from a while back. But we do actually do what I would call larger neighborhood explorations that go outside the downtown area. They just tend to be more like a one-off, something that's sort of a big turnout where we'll do what I kind of call an open house style event where we're really walking the streets, exploring particular neighborhoods. There's a lot of community generated input. I mean, we're usually creating these events in tandem with stakeholders that are in these neighborhoods and are invested in having us help them tell the stories of specific sites or historical significance that's happening there. And a lot of the time those tours are driven by advocacy issues, if there's gentrification that's really changing a neighborhood fairly drastically, we might be more invested in going there so that we can talk about what's important and what people should be working to be aware of and to protect. This coming and we usually do 2 of those a year, one in the spring and one in the fall. I honestly think that, looking at Little Tokyo right now would be a good neighborhood for us to consider in the not so distant future. There's a lot of, Little Tokyo is always undergoing a lot of change, but I know there's a lot of a lot of issues right now, and an issue we waded into in pretty passionately post-COVID has been working to protect legacy businesses, which have been hit so hard by the pandemic. And we're actually going to be partnering with the city starting, I think, in the fall this year in an official partnership that recognizes the city's need to assist with protecting legacy businesses as well. So yes, that was a long way to answer a long roundabout way of answering your question. But yes, we do go outside the downtown area. And I think doing things more regularly outside the downtown area is something we're interested in. It's just, it just honestly requires a good, consistent partner to help us keep programming going once we've sort of, for lack of a better word, like packed up our bags. We want to look at being more supportive and look at more evergreen programming in other neighborhoods. We just need good partners because we're not physically there all the time and can't always be physically there to sustain them.
Do you work with the county as well?
We do. A lot of our work tends to be, forming tight-knit relationships with city council districts, working through political avenues or educational avenues at a very hyper-local level, but we do work with council members as well, or with people who are working at the county level as well.
I don't know if it's too late in the calendar to talk about it, but if there's an opportunity to maybe do something during civic season, either on the 29th or, sometime around closer to the July 4th holiday, where we have people maybe meet here and take them over to City Hall. I'd say the Hall of Administration, but it's so blah.
Yeah.
But it could be this is what, 1960s civic architecture looked like.
You'd be surprised how many people have strong feelings about that building one way. Certainly in your direction, but also in the other, which is always amazing. But yes, I know what you're saying.
But Grand Park is there too, so that's something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's something that we could definitely support. And again, maybe there's a way that we can be looking at certainly connecting to this particular event, but also perhaps, putting a groundwork in place for something that could be, I don't know, more of an ongoing collaboration in Little Tokyo.
And your programs are all ages, right? Well, maybe not all programs, but most of them are good for all ages.
Yeah, for our regular walking tours, I would say, they're most appropriate for high school and up. But, we do also offer student tours and family tours too that kind of adapt existing adult tours and make them a little shorter and a little more dynamic. So that's a possibility too in terms of audience outreach. For this particular event, I'm guessing just the standard tour would be fine. But certainly as the education director, I'm pretty gung-ho about kids. So if there's opportunities to be working with young people, and I guess in this case, younger than the 18 mark of civic season, but still, I'm game.
Okay.
Awesome. Any other ideas or thoughts? Also, sorry, I have a screaming toddler in the background if you hear that. But any other ideas or yeah. I wanted to also take this time, and is there anything that you all need from the Made by Us team to kind of help facilitate or support those work that you're looking to hopefully do together?
And I would say, again, just dive into that website and look at all the stuff that Made by Us and Civic Season are doing, because it might spark ideas, and then they're just so great about helping like anybody that wants to participate.
Also, I'm going to drop into the chat really quickly the registration form for Civic Season. This is even quicker than the submission form. It's like maybe a 30-second form. That's just to make sure that we're able to get you all, like Jody said, the most up-to-date information on things and a good communication with you all. We don't spam you with things. If we're sending something out, it's something that is very meaningful to the work that you're doing around Civic Season, or is an asset, or is something that can help you in building your programming. So please feel free to register for that. But Sophia, Jim, if you all want to talk a little bit about kind of next steps, if you all want to meet again or how you want to move forward.
I think we'll probably try and reach out to both of you. And if you guys have, if there's connecting points, we don't want to, stand in that way. You're more than welcome, Jody and Sarah, to connect to one another if you think there's something there as well. But we'll definitely reach out to you for some of these ideas and follow up on them. We'll send out to all the people that registered for this. We'll send out the recording of this and hopefully have a few more of these information sessions to kind of get some more people involved. And at a certain point, I think we'd like to try and at least cross promote what people are doing, but sort of build maybe a informal coalition of people who want to work together and maybe collaborate on events. And obviously for us, it's we have space that we can share with people and opportunities, public program opportunities where we can talk about these things.
That sounds great. I just had a quick question. I mean, Jim or Sophia, do you know, are there other things that people have done across LA? I mean, do you know of other organizations who have done this, who've done this in the past?
I'll leave Nia to talk about that, because I think we're the only ones last year.
Yeah, LA is kind of an untapped area for us. We have organizations California that have participated. So we have Museum of Us, California Railroad Museum. There's a couple more that's not coming to mind right now. San Francisco Arts Ed, they do a big like Civic Season kind of festival every year. So in other parts of California, we are seeing quite a bit of Civic Season engagement, but not so much in Los Angeles. So this is a lot of opportunity here for you all to really kind of take that and run with it for your area. Yeah, I would love to have a bigger presence for Civic Season in that area, in your area. So any ideas are very much welcome.
But there are lots of places in the country that are doing this, and
yeah, we have participation in every state in America. So there's participation in every single state. We are just working to kind of get more kind of that local feel within each state. But yeah.
And I will add that the Civic Season team, the Made by Us team, hosts like check-ins for groups who are participating across the nation. And so I think they're really helpful in terms of like getting folks together in a room and speaking about like what stages of the process they're in, what kind of issues they're running into, what kind of ideas that they're having for possible programming. I think Jim mentioned earlier that it's a really good think tank of like bouncing off ideas off one another and seeing what will work for them and what could work for us. And I really do appreciate that, Nia and her team really facilitate spaces for those conversations to happen in a constructive way, because I feel like every time I leave those calls, I usually make a new friend and we've connected and we say, hey, this has been really great, or we'll sit in the chat and kind of go back and forth and really kind of riff ideas and kind of we'll share resources. And so it's a really good way to connect with other organizations across the country to see what types of challenges they're facing, what types of programming opportunities that they have for their own cultural institutions. And it's inspiring. So
one of the things on one of the last calls, somebody from one of the institutions mentioned that they're doing naturalization ceremonies. And that's something we really want to do, but haven't quite figured out how to do that. And they put me in touch with the people here in LA, even though I think they were in Virginia, I think. And so we're, it's amazing being able to lean on people from around the country, even if it's something very specific to what we're doing here.
Oh, a community world fair. Yeah, we try to have like in the use of these kind of kickoff events, we kind of use these kind of like as a tentpole events that that there is something happening around the country. And so yeah, I would love to continue to build on that and what that can look like over the next couple of years. So yes, I am here as a resource as you all need. I'm happy to jump on a call if you want to talk out ideas, not for just this year, moving forward with civic season. This has become a year-round planning operation for me. So I'm happy to talk about future opportunities, especially as we go into the next couple of years. But yeah, it's been wonderful to meet with you all and talk with you all. Jim and Sophia, I'm sure we'll follow up with you. My email is in the chat if you need anything from me, and I will follow up as well with some information. But thanks so much, everyone, for joining the call today.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Jody. We'll be in touch.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Awesome.
Okay.
Have a great one, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Take care.